I'm Kerry from Homestead How.
I'm JT from the Poko Moonshine family.
And in today's episode, we're going to tell you how to start carnivore for beginners.
You'll have Kerry and my best tips on how to do the carnivore diet.
Tips, tricks, everything you need to know. So be sure to watch till the very end. Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go. What is the carnivore diet? Well, I'm going to tell you 4 things. This is going to make it really easy. Number 1, no sugar. Number 2, no grains. Number 3, no sodas or anything else like that. You're drinking a lot of water. And then number 4, this is if we're really simplifying it, is you're just eating a lot of fatty meats, beef, butter, bacon, eggs, but you're not eating any fruits or vegetables or anything like that. That is carnivore really simplified.
Set a time goal. So if you're a beginner and you're watching this and you're thinking about starting the carnivore diet, or you are, set a time, like at least try it for 7 days, 30 days. I personally chose to do 30 days. And give it an experiment and see how I felt afterwards.
You can do anything for 30 days. I recommend 30 days, and I've told that to so many people, and by the end of the 30 days, every single one of them, you feel so much more amazing. It's like, why wouldn't I continue? But you have to have that set. And one thing that's helped me is there's free apps you can get on your phone, like countdown timer apps, and then it'll count down the time for you. So you'll be like, oh, I'm on day 27. Like, I still have it on my phone right now, and right now I'm on day 284. So you can just keep tracking it, and it's a lot easier. You have to be intentional and set a specific goal.
You got me curious because I have a day counter as well. And it's nice. You don't have to keep looking at the calendar and see what date you started, then counting. I'm on day 192.
Ooh, you got that big 200 coming up in 8 days. You gotta plan a ribeye.
That's going to be so awesome. So I did the 30 days challenge for the carnivore diet, and I felt so good. I didn't want to quit, and I kept going. So
set a time, and then also have your why. You have to have a very important reason why. I just want to look better, or I have depression, anxiety I want to overcome, but you have to have that concrete why and the goal set.
Even if your why, like for me, it was my son. I wanted to obviously be healthy and be alive for my son. I want to see my son get married one day. I want to see his kids. I want to be a great grandfather like my 93-year-old carnivore grandfathers. Tip number 2, eat the meat that you have around you when you're starting out. You might not have a fridge full of premium ribeye meat and all this stuff if you're a beginner, but if you do have some salami, even though if it's not the greatest thing, bologna, hot dogs, any sort of meat that you have, I would start by eating that first and then staying away from that carbs and sugar food.
Yeah, bacon and eggs is a good go-to, not too expensive. Some people, you can do beef, butter, bacon, eggs. That's like a good one to start with. Emma and I, my daughter, we like to do beef, butter, bacon, eggs all together in a bowl. But yeah, it doesn't have to be expensive or crazy, but if you do decide to go out and shop before you start, I would encourage you, spend some of that budget on some of the first days to kind of treat yourself. The first couple days are going to be the hardest. So if you're going to allocate a budget for the whole month, maybe spoil yourself the first couple days, or maybe say on day 4, I'm going to have a nice ribeye so you can look forward to it. Because those first couple days can be a little bit tougher than the rest of your journey.
You know, and I found that the carnivore diet can actually be pretty cheap if you get some chicken or some eggs or a lot of ground beef. Those are things kind of like a staple that you can use that's pretty cheap on the carnivore diet, and you don't have to have ribeyes every night.
You don't, and you have to keep in mind this. You're going to be going into this with the mindset of the standard American diet where you're eating 3 meals a day and you're having desserts and snacks and stuff like that. You're not going to be having that much on carnivore. You eat fewer meals, but they fill you up a lot more. So a lot of people are like, I could never afford carnivore. I can't afford to buy all of that stuff. But you have to really do the proper math and consider that you're going to be eating a lot less because you get full a lot quicker on carnivore.
Yeah, and you're not buying $12 ice cream, a $6 bag of chips that literally is 80% of air. Your money's going to go a lot farther when you spend that $6 on a $6 sale ribeye or New York strip, and you can actually going to be a lot better for your wallet and your body in the long run.
Yes, no more Starbucks, all the snacks, all that stuff adds up, and when you do the proper math, you'll save an incredible amount of money. I eat really, really well, and I'm still spending less money than I did on the standard American diet where I had the coffee and the Starbucks and the desserts and the snacks in between and the potato chips and all that waste. So
yeah, most Starbucks, it costs about as much as a decent ribeye. So I think we all can afford this. It's just how you approach it. Tip number 3, look for the fatty cuts of meat. Fat is very important when you're on the carnivore diet. We don't just want super lean meat. We need some fat. It's good energy. You might not really feel well if you're not getting a lot of fat. And if you're getting too much fat, you might not feel well on the back end in the bathroom. Like, what do you think?
Exactly. It should be called fativore. It's the biggest mistake new people make on carnivores. They don't get enough fat. You have to get probably more fat than you think, but to JT's point, it's a really good measure. Not to get indelicate, but it is what it is. If you're getting too much fat, you're gonna be number 2 in the bathroom more. So if that's happening too much, you're probably getting too much fat. But most people aren't getting enough fat. So you really want to make sure to get enough fat. Really good is ribeye, got a lot of fat on it, kind of expensive. Ground beef, you can get ground beef that has a lot of fat on it, not as expensive. So ground beef is a good one to go to. And you can supplement your food with butter. So if you're having like a strip steak, like I like New York strip, there's not a lot of fat on there, I will add some butter to that.
Lots of butter.
Drip the butter over the top. I like the butter not melted. I'll actually slice some little dabs of butter. I'll have a little bit of steak and a little bit of butter, and you will feel so much better once you start getting that. But yes, that's the biggest mistake newcomers on carnivore make, is they're not getting enough fat.
Tip number 4 here, start doing the carnivore diet slowly. So if you're watching this and you're a beginner, you could maybe even backtrack a little bit. My buddy Rick, the 40-year carnivore, shout out to Rick, he would actually suggest people that are interested in carnivore to try keto first. Especially if you're coming from a vegan or vegetarian lifestyle and you're real interested in doing the carnivore diet, your stomach might have a rough time. I know Jen did, your wife, and it might be beneficial to start with keto.
So many people do that, some people don't. I did that myself too. I did keto on and off for years, and you really should. Even if you're just standard American diet, to do that from carnivore, it's so much easier to just ease into it. So like a low carb keto diet is usually 20 carbs or less per day. And so you can have a little bit of vegetables. You can even have like some raspberries or strawberries or something like that. But you try to stick under 20 carbs, and I would do that maybe for a couple of weeks. And then once you get the hang of that, then it's so much easier to transition from 20 carbs a day down to carnivore, which is almost no carbs per day. So.
And just give you a little perspective, I actually ate a bunch of meat prior to the carnivore diet. So bacon, eggs, and steak and all that stuff was kind of normal to me in my stomach. So I kind of just cannonballed into this and didn't do keto. And it was fine for me. I didn't get the keto flu, as they say. But if you're someone who already eats a lot of meat, the transition, if you're watching this, the transition might not be as rough, and you might not need to try keto if you already eat a bunch of it. What do you think?
Yeah, some people jump right in. Emma jumped right in too, and she was actually doing vegan.
She was, that was a rough one.
She drank a lot of water, and she had a lot of fat, like we talked about in the earlier point, which some people don't do, and I think that helped her. So
tip number 5, do not cook with seed oils. We want to cook with beef tallow, bacon grease, butter, pig lard. Especially the beef tallow, I'm trying to get rid of some visceral fat, and beef tallow is very good to have in you to get rid of visceral fat.
Yeah, it's filling. It makes your steaks taste delicious too. I've got some Wagyu beef tallow someone gave me for a gift. Oh, nothing tastes better than that. And again, you got to get plenty of fat on carnivore. This is a way to do it and to cooking it. But like JT said, those seed oils are absolutely horrible for you, and that's
terrible.
A big no-no. You want to eliminate seed oils for the rest of your life. That's a big part of starting carnivore. No more sugar, of course, but also no more seed oils. And just like sugar, seed oils are in everything. So you really have to watch out for those.
I talked to the carnivore doctor, Dr. Lisa Wiedemann, and she said that sometimes the seed oils can take about 6 years to leave your body. That's how toxic and bad these things are. So treat yourself to some tallow or something that's gonna be good for you to cook your food in, rather than the seed oils.
Right. Yeah, those seed oils could be used as industrial lubricants. You could put them in your vehicle for motor oil. They're illegal in some countries. They're so bad for you.
And we're cooking our food in it.
Right. We're putting them into our body, and they stay in our body for years and years. It's crazy. So get rid of the seed oils.
Tip number 6, use real salt. Some of the salt, if you go to a restaurant like a steakhouse or something, the table salt there might have sugar in it. If you go to the grocery stores, what's that brand with the little girl with the umbrella on it?
The Morton?
Yeah, that probably has a whole bunch. If you look on there, it's a whole bunch of ingredients. It's just not good for you. We personally use Redmond's real salt. They have smoked kinds, which might not be good if you got a histamine problem, because I know Adam,
right,
Carnivore Today, was having a little problem with smoked things. But If you don't have a histamine problem, try the smoked salts, but there's different types of Redmond salt. What about the Himalayan pink salt? Have you tried that?
Yeah, that's good stuff. Sea salt's pretty good too. There's a couple other options, but yeah, like JT said, it's amazing what's in salt. They bleach it. There's like dextrose in it. There's a million different names for sugar now, but so much salt is actually really bad for you. So Redmond's real salt, that's all I use. I love it. I got it in my pocket. Well, I don't have it with me now. I got it in the car right now though, but usually carry it around with me. There's minerals and stuff in there that are really good for your body that you're not getting in that other bleached salt. So,
you know, if you're a beginner, you might be like me hearing us talk about this Redmond's real salt. I thought it was all just hype. I said it's just salt. When you buy this salt, it tastes amazing and it makes all your meat you're cooking, your steak just tastes phenomenal. Tip number 7. Clean your house out, clean your kitchen out, clean the cupboards, clean the food pantry. Get rid of this stuff that's gonna tempt you, the high sugar foods and the high carb foods. It's gonna be a lot easier in your journey to get the results you wanna get if you don't constantly tempt yourself by having this stuff around. Like, I know you spent money on it. What me and my wife did is we took 2 or 3, 4 boxes, cleared out all the stuff out of the pantry and the cupboard, and we offered it to family members or people who could use it, so it wasn't food being wasted.
that's a great tip. It's so tempting if you have that stuff around in your house. And most of that stuff, once you're doing carnivore for a while, you're not gonna want it, but to have that temptation removed is huge. And so much of that stuff you're gonna realize afterwards was just waste. Like, it's not providing any nutrition for your body, so why even have it there at all? So get rid of it. It'll make it a lot easier for you for sure.
Yeah, and you're gonna feel better too with the cleaner kitchen, things in there that you actually use, and you're not cluttered around all these things that you're not actually using. Tip number 8, you might need some electrolytes when you're a beginner on carnivore. Keto flu is a thing. I didn't get it. I don't take many electrolytes, but I do use a lot of the Redmond's real salt on my food, and I think the extra bit of salt helps me with my electrolytes. But I did get the flu on carnivore diet, and I did need to take some electrolytes. So either keto flu or regular flu, you might need electrolytes at some point on the carnivore diet. What do you think?
Yeah, especially when you're first starting out, those first 2 weeks or so, I just recommend just do it. Take the electrolytes, because so many people get the keto flu, and you go through a lot of water when you get into carnivore. Your body is switching from burning sugar to burning fat, and in that process, you go process a ton of water through your body. So it's important to get those electrolytes. There's a couple different brands out there. They're really easy. It's add them to your water, and then you don't have to think about it. Other than that, I don't use them too often, other than if I have like a big workout or a really busy day. Like if I was helping a friend move or something, I was going to be exerting myself a lot, then I might take some of them. But yeah, I would definitely recommend the electrolytes, especially the first 2 weeks.
Tip number 9, get grass-fed products. You want to go for the cleanest, best meat you can if you can afford it. If you can't, that's okay. Like we said earlier, you know, eat the hot dogs or salami, whatever you got around, whatever you can afford. The carnivore diet does not have to be expensive, but if you can afford to treat yourself once in a while, some grass-fed beef, the cleanest of the clean meat, I would definitely do it.
Yes, you'll feel so much better too. And again, if you got a budget for the whole month, maybe budget a little bit grass-fed in the beginning and then mix in some other stuff later. But I feel so much better when I'm having the good, clean, grass-fed beef.
Tip number 10, beginners think that they only have to eat beef, butter, bacon, and eggs because they're probably gonna see that on a lot of YouTube videos. Beef, butter, bacon, and eggs, B&E. That's not all we eat on the carnivore diet. You can have fish, you can have some liver, you can have chicken, you can have all sorts of stuff.
Seafood, shrimp. My first carnivore meal was ribeye and shrimp. Shrimp's a really good one, easy to cook, not too expensive. Chicken too. One thing, the little like buffalo wings without the sauce, they're really, really good with some Redmond salt on them. You can make them up in your air fryer.
Air fryer?
So, yeah, I mostly stick to beef because I just feel better when I'm having like a big fatty piece of meat or ground beef. But I still do a lot of eggs and bacon and chicken and seafood from time to time. Switch it up a little bit, otherwise it gets a little boring.
Tip number 11, don't be afraid to stay hydrated and drink your water. Even if you got to add a little bit of Redmond's real salt in your water, make sure you stay hydrated on the carnivore diet.
Yeah, especially like I said earlier, the first 2 weeks you go through a lot of water, so you have to probably drink more than you would think. And there's other types of water you can have too. Like when you get bottled water, they have purified water, they have spring water, bubbly carbonated water. That stuff's all fine. You just got to make sure there's no sugar in it and it's clean water. But it's interesting, once you do carnivore for a while, you'll actually have different tastes for water. Like when I have a good spring water, I'm like, ooh, that tastes really good. It's almost like a sweet taste to it. But yeah, you want to get plenty of water, and you want to just be careful. Make sure you read the ingredients, because there's some water that has different ingredients in it that aren't good for you, or different types of artificial sugars and things like that that you want to avoid.
Tip number 12, find local meat sources. I just took them to a butcher shop near me. There's grass-fed beef farms near me. And what I did was to help find all this local grass-fed beef was I went on Google and I typed in grass-fed beef near me. And it's gonna bring up a bunch of options for you, butcher shops, farms. Man, go to the farms, meet the farmers. Like, we were just hanging out with some farmers today. They're great people. They're looking for the carnivores and they'd love to hang out with you.
Yeah, and we're not too far from a major city, Milwaukee, right here, and JT had no problem finding several places. I live out in the middle of the country. My neighbor, like a mile down the road, they have grass-fed beef and they have a little farm store. I would much rather support one of those places than some big chain grocery store that may do factory farming or something that's not compassionate to the animals. Plus the food tastes better, and I'd rather put my money in a place like that. And they're all over, like JT said, just Google it, do a little research and you can find them.
Don't worry about messing up or falling off the carnivore wagon. There is no wagon. I hate to tell you guys, it's a diet. There's no wagon. But there is you and there is your journey and your results, and don't let perfection get in the way of progress. If you fall down, get right back up. You know, little kids do that all the time. They're running around the house, they fall down, they look back at you, and as long as you're okay, they get right back up and start playing again. I think we need to go back to our child selves and embrace some of that inner magic for this carnivore diet. If you only lose when you stop getting up, right?
Right. I love this saying, there are no failures. A failure is a lesson, and a lesson is a blessing. Ooh. So jump right back on. The biggest thing I would say though is if you do fall off, don't be like, oh, it's Thursday, I'll start again on Monday. That's a really destructive thing to do, because then you're just gonna binge eat, and by Sunday you're gonna be like, oh, give me some pie, give me some donuts, this is gonna be the last time, and you're gonna way overdo it. Just jump right back on right away and get back into it right away. So
tip number 14, if pork bacon doesn't sit well with your stomach, try looking for beef bacon. It's also called kosher, and kosher is either beef or it's like chicken or something like that, but it's gonna be anything but pork. So you're gonna wanna look for kosher beef. A lot of carnivores been going to like Walmart, Kroger. Go to your local grocery stop on the app, your grocery store, and type in beef bacon. We just picked up some from the local beef farmer. But if you're someone who really wants to have the taste of bacon in your carnivore diet, and you maybe wanna try lion diet, you know, or you're just eating the beef, the salt and the water, try the beef bacon, you know, because if you still want that taste of the pork, the bacon, and you don't want to have the pork ruin your lion diet, or the pork doesn't sit well with your stomach, try the beef bacon, right?
it's a good tip. I didn't even think about that. You can do lion diet, and you can still have bacon. It's like the best of both worlds.
I mean, come on, this is the best tip video right here. That is our best tips for carnivore beginners. We hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.